everybody, welcome to Houdini Hangout. We're at the end of January, and I hope you're having a great month so far. Things are very cold here for me. It's been snowing the past few days, so that's been exciting. But yeah, so overall pretty good though. Hope you're doing well, and things are going well for you. Hey, Kixels, welcome. Nice to have you on the stream. Nice to have you here. Yeah, so what are we up to tonight? Well, we're going to do some Houdini stuff. And what we're going to do is we are going to try to make, kind of like a Stranger Things inspired portal. That's the idea here, at least. And I post a little image along with what I think we're gonna do tonight, and we'll sort of try to make something close to that. Obviously it'll be a little hard to exactly replicate that because I'll be just kind of doing it in the general vein of that, with some trying to remember exactly what I've done and parameters and things like that. But yeah, that's the idea. We're gonna make a little portal, have it kind of like tear open, kind of like some sort of like magical effect, and then have it like repair itself and like come back together. So yeah, I played around with it a little bit and got it working. So I think it should be pretty cool, and should be a fun thing to mess around with. So that'll be what we're going to work on this evening. So if you are watching and you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to drop those in the chat whenever you would like to. Certainly if you have the question, someone else probably does as well. And if you're watching me do something and you're like, hey, why didn't you do it this way? Because this seems like a much smarter way to do it. just let me know. Always happy to have some feedback from you guys as we're working through this. And I certainly do not know everything. So it's always nice to have you guys help me out and kind of keep me honest with what I'm doing. So yeah, that's the idea for tonight. And yeah, always like having you guys in the chat talking along and just giving me your 2 cents as to what it is that we're working on here. So oh, hey Fractaler, how's it going? Nice to have you. So I think that's about all I need to say before going into some actual work here. So why don't we jump over and do some Houdini stuff? Nice big fade there, always nice. What is it that we're going to be making? Well, I'll just kind of bring my thing out of the oven here and just kind of show you what I had cooked up here. It probably won't be exactly like this, the setup and everything, but we'll do some of this thing. So we've got a little like archway here with some like weird goopy kind of wire stuff, and then this like gooey cloth stuff that's going to go in the middle. So we're going to tear that all open and then have it reform and kind of rebuild itself. So that's what we're trying to make here. And worst case scenario, I'll just be like, well, I've done it already, but I think we'll build it up from scratch and see what we can't do here and see what we can't get into. So the first thing obviously we need to do here is make a little bit of an archway that we can work with. So let's start with just a couple of boxes here. Let's see here. I'm just going to turn off some of my notifications just so I'm not getting bombarded here. So I'm just gonna sleep that. Hey Cami, hello Ruben, welcome. Nice to have you all. All right, so we've got one box here. Let's do a couple boxes here. So, I mean, obviously there's always a million different ways you can do everything. I'm just gonna make a couple of boxes here that are gonna be sort of my geometry that I'll start out with here. I'll just say geo archway, and we'll make this green. And let's get to it here. So I don't know, let's say it's like human size. So I don't know, human is we'll say about 2 meters just to be generous and round. So let's do like 2.5 meters, 2.25 maybe. And we'll make the thickness of it, not that way. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like something like that. I don't know, that looks kind of fine to me. And then let's make it a little wider here. I'll also do a match size here. And then we can, we can set this to minimum. And that'll kind of bring it up to the ground plane, and then we can start working on this here. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll start with the actual like opening first. I think that would make the most sense to start with. So I'm actually gonna make this. Whoa, holy crap! That jumped really far. Let's see here. We don't need to do it that far, so let's just do something like this, because we're gonna be cutting this out. So we'll use this as like a Boolean operator. And what is it, about a meter maybe? Yeah, that's probably about the size of like a doorway or something. Sure. Sorry, I got to kind of convert in my head here. Okay, so let's take this. We'll also do a match size here. And then we can just kind of play with this a little bit. Oh, change that. Make this a little taller here. And let's just see. This doesn't need to be as deep either, so we can make that a little less deep. Let's just see what that looks like there. Okay, maybe something like... Awesome. There we go. Testing my my on-the-fly metric conversion. Thanks for confirming, Fractaler. All right, so we got that. That should work just fine for us. And let's see here. We can you know, we could do a whole bunch of different stuff. We could do a Boolean here. You could change it over into a VDB and do some subtraction. I mean, this is probably fine right here. We can do that. Yeah, that's probably pretty good. Maybe we'll just change the height of this just a little bit. Just a little bit of height there. And maybe a little more width just to make these nice and thick. Okay, so there's our Boolean. I actually had done this as like a VDB Boolean, but you don't really need to do that. So, you know, you can always do this a million different ways. So let's do that. And yeah, then what we could do here is actually, we could actually do a bevel, a poly bevel if we wanted to, and just reshape this a little bit just to smooth it out slightly. Let's see here. Let's do that and round. Do a few things like that. Sure. Yeah, that's nice. That's kind of giving us some roundness before we need to do any smoothing in our VDB. So let's do that. Sure, why not? And let's go. Let's do this. Let's do a VDB from polygons. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a sign distance field, just so we have this kind of surface representation of that archway. And we probably want a little more detail than this. You can see from the voxels that it's pretty low resolution. So let's do, I don't know. Let's see what we can get into here. 0.5. That's probably a little too much. We're seeing all the polygons. So let's try this. Let me just see what I had put over here as well, just to see. Yeah, that's about where I was at. So we'll do this 0.2, and great. Then we can also do a VDB smooth SDF. Oops, there we go. So we can actually smooth this out a little bit. Probably like a Gaussian smoothing would be best, just to get it really nice and smooth. I mean, you can do the mean. And then smooth that a little bit if you want to, maybe filter it a little bit more. It's kind of up to you completely, but either way, those things should work out just fine. The only bad thing here is that we are kind of raising it up from the ground plane, right? Am I seeing that right? Or no, maybe not. Maybe not. That's just kind of an artifact of how this is working. Another thing we should probably do is maybe just do a fill interior and give ourselves a little bit more exterior band voxels. Let's do the world space units here, and we can adjust this a little bit. Maybe we'll do like 0.1, maybe do like 0.25, just to give ourselves a little bit more bandwidth around this shape to work with when we start doing some noises here. So, sure, that's fine for right now. Let's do an SDF noise, a volume noise SDF. I think I used this for something the other day, or recently on here. I can't really remember, but I think we did. And maybe what I'll do here is, what do I want to do here? What do I want to do? I kind of don't like that these are lifting up. So let's adjust some of this stuff here. Let's go here to this Boolean and let's just make an edit here. So let's do selection and change it to 4 to select polygons. Oh yeah, for the ice reveal. You're right. Yes, you're right. You are right. So let's select the bottom ones here. We can just move these down just a little bit. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll do my VDB from polygons, and then we'll do all this stuff. And then I'll eventually just get rid of these, just kind of clip these off basically and subtract those out. That should be fairly easy to do. Okay, so let's see here. Let's play around with this a little bit here. So what can we, probably want some like noisy features like that. Let's see. Well, we actually probably want to do, oh, I went really crazy there. Let's see here. Zero centered. Okay. Yeah, that might be getting a little too much. So We could kind of play around with this. There's all sorts of stuff we could do with this, right? We could make it, could do something like that, and then maybe even roughen this up a little bit. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff we could do here with this, right? So by the way, just to inform you, sorry for the interruption, you've set another live that's on upcoming state. Oh, is that on YouTube, or where is that on? On YouTube? Huh. Interesting. Let me just fix that real quick. Sorry about that. Let me adjust that. That is weird. I don't know how I did that. Thanks for the heads up there. All right, it is deleted. I think I actually hit start by accident maybe earlier, and that I think that messed it up a little here. So anyways, we should be good. Also, I've been having all these issues with Twitch, and I think the problem is that I have to change the bitrate. No, you're fine, Fractaler, no problem. I have to change the bitrate for Twitch because they can't handle as high a bitrate live as YouTube can, which is really annoying. But I'm not sure I want to reduce the bitrate more, so I don't know. I've got to figure out what to do there. So that's a very unfortunate little issue to try to figure out here. So yeah, anyways. So if you're wondering why that's not working, that's the answer for right now. It's limited to like 5,000 or 6,000. It's really low comparatively, and that's really annoying because it's like I've got a lot of like little details that I really want to come through. So yeah, and if I can probably stream multiple from multiple destinations on my computer now that my internet's better. But the problem is I use a multi-stream thing to like distribute my my video and combine the chats and do all that stuff. So it's like there's all these things that are just like you do one thing and then another thing doesn't work, and it's just really frustrating. So that's live streaming. It's very fun. Anyways, okay, so we've got this archway here. You know, obviously you can do a bunch of different ways of kind of messing with this or whatever. Let's see here. Hey Stentron, welcome. Nice to have you. So let's see here. What do we have going on? Interesting. So I think I actually even smoothed this out way more before. So let me just smooth this out because I think I'm just not happy with what I'm seeing here. So let me just smooth this out maybe even a little bit more. Just like that. Yeah, that's probably better. Cool. All right. That's looking fine. And maybe we'll just transform this down a little bit more just so we have some more space there. Okay, something like that maybe. All right, so let's see here. What else did I do? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what I did. Okay. So yeah, like I was saying before here, let's subtract this bottom part off. There's a few different ways we could possibly do this. We could actually do this as a VDB. Let's see, we could do a convert VDB. and drop that down. We could change this over to polygons, right? And maybe do something like that, or maybe higher. Sure. And we could make this, we could kind of split this here with a Boolean operation. So we would do a box. And let's make this a little wider and a little deeper. Doesn't really matter. Whoop. So I actually am using two computers here. So if I go off the edge, it jumps onto the other computer and it's like freaking out. That's really funny. All right, so let's do a match size here. Always love a good match size. And we'll do the Y to max. And then we can do a Boolean subtract and subtract these two here. And then that'll give us, this kind of setup like this. The other thing I think we can do here is we can turn off this deactivate, and that should give us a solid object. Because I think what it's doing is it's trying to prune out the non-active voxels from it. And so you can see how this this kind of band voxel is getting way, way smaller. So I'm pretty sure it's doing that internally, and that's why this kind of cut isn't working as well. Now, I'm actually noticing this Boolean is just not doing a very good job. So why don't we just make this a little bit nicer, and we can just say, instead of doing it that way, we could just do let's do a VDB from polygons, and I'm going to use the create reference copy here just to make a reference copy that we can use here, just so it's the same resolution. And let's do this, and let's do SDF subtract, VDB SDF subtract, perfect. And we can drop this down, and this should be able to subtract that out as well. And this is actually going to give us a little bit more of a, just a nice edge here, because now if we wire this into the VDB, the convert VDB, we should have a little bit of better geometry. I mean, it's got, it's obviously still, there's some roughness to it and things like that, but yeah, it is a little bit nicer for us. So let's see here. Maybe we'll reduce that a little bit. Doesn't really matter, honestly, because I think what I want to do is remesh this anyways, just to make these a little bit more uniform polygons. So let's get rid of this Boolean here. Cool. There we go. And so now we've got this. Let's do a remesh here. We can get some nicer geometry going. Now, obviously, we start with it very small here, and let's see what we can do here. Let's make this way more. Okay, let me just see what values I used before. Look at that. I guess pretty darn close. Do that. That seems pretty good. So, okay. This is our little portal that we're going to have here. I think it should work. Honestly, I think I want it just a touch deeper. I'm just looking at what scale I've got here. I think I want it a little bit deeper. And this is obviously the beautiful part about Houdini, because we did all that work, and as long as we do it smart, we should be able to make this work just fine. So if we do that and jump down here, we should see that all kind of, yep. And now we've got a little bit of a wider geometry, and we can change this, right? We could do 0.9 and just keep kind of finding different widths that make sense for us. But I think that's pretty good. That'll be cool. It's got a weird little like foot thing down here. It's kind of bizarre. But yeah, this is, I mean, obviously you could go crazy with noise and do all sorts of stuff. We're just trying to get a generic shape to kind of work with here. This isn't the main, goal of this project. So let's drop down a null here, because I think we're going to be at a good spot from here. So I'm just going to say out arch geo. When I made this before, I made this like all in one. So Stentron is saying, sorry to ask, but can I see the reference for a sec? Just got here. Oh, I didn't even have any reference. I'm just kind of like making something that feels like a portal for like Stranger Things. That was pretty much it. I didn't really have any reference, and probably would get a copyright strike if I use some reference on here, I'm guessing. So I'm not going to do that. Although I do own a Netflix subscription, I am not going to do that. So yeah, there you go. So we're just doing a little kind of off the cuff thing. I did actually make a version of this before. I could show you that, I guess, if you're a little late to the party here. So this was what I had made before, but I'm actually going to probably do this slightly different, but that's what I made before. So anyways, so I just have it over here so I can kind of reference if I'm just wondering like, oh, what did I do before? But I made that as just one big thing, and I think that's kind of a messy way to work, so I don't really want to do that. What the heck? That was weird. Okay, there we go. So there's our archway. We've got that all created. So there's our geo archway. So the next thing that I think we should do, let's do this like, I want it to be like a kind of weird, like slimy sheet type of a thing, right? Like, because it's always got these like weird tentacles and like, not tentacles, but like weird like membranes that are getting pushed through and all sorts of weird goopy stuff. So I think that's the next thing that we'll do is we'll do the sheet that's going to go. Cool. Oh, hey, I'm not sure how to say that, but I'll say Enya. Hey, Enya, welcome. Nice to join you, and nice to have you join us. That's very exciting that you could join live. Very nice. Hopefully, we'll get some cool stuff going here. And yeah, if anybody wants to join the conversation afterwards or be a part of this, just part of the community or whatever, I do have a Discord server. You can go to HoudiniHangout.com and get a link to the Discord invite there, and that'll get you to the Discord server. All free, there's no cost for anything. And if you go onto the little HH hip files channel there, you can find a whole bunch of all the hip files from the streams that I've done. So you can go on there and find a date from a stream and just go in and grab it, and play around with the hip file yourself and make stuff that's way cooler than I made in a couple hours. So always interested if people go in and screw around with stuff and if they ever make anything else. So, and then you can always post it on the Discord server and say, hey, I went and did this cool thing from what you did. So anyways, right. So let's get back to this. Let's make a little sheet. So let's make another geo container here, and we'll say, we'll call this the slime sheet, not sleet. Sleet is icy rain. We're going to do sheet. All right, slime sheet. So this should be pretty easy to do. We're just going to need a grid really, right? Because what we want to do is get a sheet that's going to kind of go, or a surface that's going to go inside of this archway here. And so this should be fairly easy to do, shouldn't be too hard. So let's see what we can do here. So let's see what we can do. Just trying to think of what's going to make the most sense here that we can grab, because we can grab this arch. Okay, so let's just do an object merge and get the arch. We'll say get arch geo, and we'll import that here. Arch, color this red. Cool. And so what we could do is we can put this in the XY plane. We could do another match size, one of my favorite nodes, because it's nice and powerful. We could do this. We could scale it to fit, and we could undo the uniform scale. That's going to work pretty well. The only thing I don't love about this is that it's going past these edges. And so what I really need to do is figure out a way to make this a little bit smaller. And I actually think that I have a way that I'm going to be able to do that once I do these wires that are going to, or the like kind of slimy, I don't know, whatever, wires. We'll call them wires, even though they're slime. So as I'm thinking about this, I'm going to just change my mind and say, let's work on the wires first, because from that, we'll be able to kind of isolate this inside surface a little bit easier. So let's do that. So we'll get to that in a second. It doesn't really matter, I guess. So we'll do geo, and we'll say slime. Actually, I'll just make a duplicate of this because we'll do a pretty similar thing here. So we'll call this slime wires. And let's come in here. So we're going to use the arch, but we're not going to do this. So just save us a second of time. So let's hide the other objects. And so what we need to do is we need to get this inside kind of arch surface. And so what we could do there is actually let's go back to this and let's just add a couple nulls in here. So this is we're gonna say this is the, we'll just give us a null and say null, and we'll call this like door size or something like that. That'll be our shape here that we're gonna work with. And so let's go back to the wires, and if we bring in the arch geo, we can also get the door size, and we'll just say get door size. And so now what we could do is we can use this to shape the grid that we're going to put inside of here. So we'll leave that. Actually, I don't know if we're even going to need that. So let's now do another grid. So this is actually very similar to what we were doing before, and you'll see the reason for this in a second. So I should have just left everything that I did, but hey, what's the fun in that when you can just rebuild it? All right, so let's scale this to fit. Let's do undo uniform scale there. Here's our archway geo. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually just going to maybe use just like a peak here. You could also do a scale. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to peek it in a little bit so that we have some points that are in the middle here. You'll see why in a second. And so let's just change this grid's resolution so it's like kind of squares. Cool. So now we've got this geometry in the middle here. And what we can do, we can take this geo here, the arch geometry, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a mask by feature. And so what we can do is we can wire this in, and we should be able to use this, I think, if I'm remembering correctly here. Or is this the one we want? Which one? Which one is it? So we're going to do direction from point cloud. There we go. Okay, so that's what we want. And now we can see that we have this point cloud that's going to be inside of here. And that's what's going to be kind of driving this attribute really for us. And this is going to be where our, where these individual like little slimy wires are going to connect, right? And so we can control this. We could make this more narrow. We could make it wider. Maybe we'll try that, see how that works. Should be fine. We're just going to scatter a bunch of points. So, yeah, that should be kind of interesting to see how that works. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that. And what we could do then is we can use a blast here. And we can say, right, we've got this mask attribute right there. And so, hey, Cool Effects, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Nice to have you. Good to have you. So what we're going to do is we're just going to blast out that mask attribute. So what we can do is change this to points and say at mask is maybe just greater than 0. And that, if we delete the non-selected, will show us kind of what we have left over here. And we are actually getting some kind of weird disjointed areas. Like, I don't mind all of it, but I think we could kind of unify or kind of consolidate it a little bit. So let's bring this kind of angle down a little bit. And that's just going to kind of isolate this a little bit more and make it so we don't have so many like weird disjointed sections and stuff like that. And what we could also do here, I think, is looks like a 3D scan. Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? I'm just trying to think here. Maybe what we'll do is we'll just keep this main body of it, maybe. It's probably the smartest thing to do here. Unless I can refine this a little bit more. Just trying to see here. Sampling. Oh, yeah. This is probably what we want. Maybe we just don't want it to fall off as much. It actually doesn't matter how the fall off is, because as long as it's greater than 0, it's not going to matter. I'll just play with this first. See if we can find anything different here. Oh, there we go. Maybe that'll be a little better. Let's see what that does. No, it's still basically the same. So let's see here. Peter, I know We all hate AI. Do you already try some AI tools for Houdini? Nope. I have not tried any AI tools ever. Haven't used ChatGPT or anything. Not my cup of tea. Let's see here. Attribute. I'm just trying to think here. Is there an attribute fill? I think there is. Yeah, attribute from let me just see what this one does. I feel like this is not going to be what we need. Oh man. Just a low-level node that can solve combinatorial versions of some practical differential equations on an edge-connected point cloud. You know, just some super chill. Gosh, does this do anything? Let's see what this does, because I don't even know. All right. Love the random. Let's see here. No. All right. That's obviously not the one. Those were words indeed. Yeah, they're definitely words. I can just hear some of like the mathematician folks at at side effects just being like, well, we just need to solve this like Poisson distribution using the eigenvalues and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't even know. Anyways, all right. I'm just trying to think. I feel like there's a way to I feel like there's an attribute fill or something like that. I just can't think of what it would be. Yeah, I guess I don't know if there is one like that. I kind of thought there was. But maybe I've just seen attribute fill and been like, "Oh, that's got to be it." No, that's not it. Okay. Anyways, is there an attribute grow? Nope. Oh. Well, I could do some weird stuff with it, but that's okay. Let's just do this. We'll just take the main geometry here. What I'll do is I'll just do a connectivity. This is just giving me a little bit different geometry than what I had last time, but that's fine. We can work with it. I just don't really want all of these crazy far off like thing. Like that's going to be a little nutty. So let's not do that one. So let's do some points here, and then we can yeah, quaternions are super useful. Hard to like actually understand them, but yeah, certainly very, very useful. All right, let's just visualize the class here. Oh yeah, attribute blur and ramp. Yep. Yeah, that would make sense. Yep. Yes, good one. Thank you, Sclabadur. That's a mouthful. All right, what class number is that? Let's just see here. Class. Let's see, attribute as is. We'll do it from a marker. Should say that's 28. Okay, perfect. We will use 28 then. All right, so let's just do another blast here just to kind of clean this up. And we'll do at class equals 28. And that should just leave us with this main points. And that should just leave us with this main area here. And that's great. That should be exactly what we need. Nice job, Fractaler. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very nice. Hey, Thomas. Welcome. What is this, morning effects on YouTube? What is this? Are you saying because of the music? I'm just trying to make some chill vibes, so it's not just my voice that everybody has to deal with constantly. Hopefully it's not bugging you. All right. Let's see here. So we got this. Let's do a scatter just to get some points on here. There we go. Got lots of good points. Lots of yummy points. Not liking those ones up at the top though. Okay. So let me try to remember exactly what I did here. Sorry. Right. So what I did actually was I removed these top pieces. That's what I did because I didn't want anything coming from the top. And that actually makes a lot of sense. So what we'll do is we'll just do a blast here again. Just kind of keep tweaking some of these values. Go to points. And let's just do at p.y is greater than, I don't know. Let's just do like 2 for right now. Let's see what that does. That's pretty good. It's pretty good for us. Now actually I can middle click on this. Oh, I can only change the whole integer. That's right. So unfortunately I can't do anything too crazy with it, but I could adjust it here and see like a decimal point. Yeah, maybe 2.0 is the best for right now. Okay. Yeah, cool. Nice. All right, so now we've got 2 distinct sides, and that will make this a lot easier. Probably you know, but if you hit Shift Enter when entering the node name, it auto connects to the last thing. Jeez, that's embarrassingly probably something I don't know. Let's see here. Let me just do a group. Oh, that's great. That's just great. My heaviest sim, how is it weighed in gigabytes, terabytes? I don't know, man. Volumetric stuff is always really big. So flip fluids and smoke and stuff can always be really gigantic. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I've never really like kept track that closely, but certainly gigs per frame is not unheard of. All right, so let's split this into left and right. We'll do a split. Man, that is really nice. Thank you for that tip. You saved me a ton of time. Thank you. Gosh, I really hope that came out like way more recently than I would like to. I just hope it's a recent thing that I just didn't know about and hasn't been there for like 10 years. All right, so let's do at p dot. So we're looking in the x-axis, and we'll just say greater than 0, and we'll change this to points. And so now this will split those both out into 2 different sides. So we'll have left points and right points. Now another thing that as we kind of 6 terabytes for sim, sure, that would not be a very strange thing to see. Oh, hey Philip, nice to have you. So what I want to do next is because we're gonna have this sheet in the middle, right? This like kind of whatever membrane in the middle. I want to have the kind of this kind of veiny kind of wires that are going to be connected in the front and the back be separate, so they're not going through that surface and just making our life even more miserable. So I'm again just going to split this one more time into front and back. So let's do this, and I guess, yeah, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I guess I could, there's so many different ways you could do this, but I'm just going to kind of do this visually so we can sort of see what's happening here. So let's do this now. This is going to be, this is going to be points, and we'll do at p.z greater than, yes, that's what everybody was saying. I just forgot that way. So Philip was just mentioning that you do an attribute blur followed by an attribute remap, and I just didn't do that and just said, screw it, it's fine the way it is, and just left it and just kept going. So it didn't really matter too much, but yes, thank you for pointing that out. I do appreciate that. So yeah, growing it and then remapping it and then growing it, and then you can, or blurring it, then remapping it, blurring, then remapping can help you grow. So that makes sense. All right, great. So this is going to be our, let's see here. I'm just trying to think of how I want to group these things. Let's do a point group here because I want to call these the like roots. So let's do a group because we're going to need to use that later to like pin these things down. Move this over to points and we'll call this roots. Group random. Yeah, just randomize the name of it so you never know what it is. Okay, so then this is going to be our, yeah, let's do it this way. So this will be our right side. So right front is going to be this. So let's just do some more grouping here because we will need to, man, I am not typing properly here. There we go. I actually don't remember if I use these groups or not, but why not? We'll make some groups and we'll say, right front roots. And then I can just kind of keep duplicating these and reusing them. And I'll say right rear roots. Hi, bud. Oh, Leonard. Leonard, you trying to join the stream again? Hi, buddy. Yeah, there you go. Okay, bud. Hi. Yes, thank you for the kiss on the nose. I appreciate it. Okay. Leonard. Okay. He's not happy that we're it's so cold out and we haven't really been able to do a lot of walks recently. It's been in the single digits with Fahrenheit with negative wind chills, so it's been crazy. So he's a little cooped up right now, feeling the winter cabin fever. Although we've been trying to give him exercise inside, but it's tough to do. Okay. Anyways, yeah. Okay. So we've got this right rear, right front. Awesome. Let's bring this over, split this other split, and we can just honestly just invert this. And that should, oh, sorry. I don't even think we need to invert that. We can just leave that. And we could actually just have copied that whole thing over. So let's do that instead, because that'll make our lives easier. So let's do this. And now we can take this and just change the names here of these and just say left front. Keep that lowercase. I don't know why. Just always, that's like one of the things is like lowercase is the group thing. Oh, so this is kind of interesting here. So this is going to be an interesting thing to try to figure out here, because before what I had going on, and now I need to probably think about this a little bit more, because I changed around the way that I did this, and like halfway through after I put the sheet in there. And so as I'm thinking about this actually won't totally work properly because I need to have an equal number of points on either side, right? So this is going to be this is not really going to work properly. So, I reject the dog. No, the dog's fine. He's right there. His name's Leonard. He's good. He's chewing his bone next to me. He's just hanging out. But yeah, he's a little bummed, but we spend lots of time with him. He gets to hang out with us all day. So, because we work from home. Okay, so let's think about this a little bit differently here, because the scatter is actually going to be causing us a little bit of a headache. So what I should probably do is do some of this blasting, but instead do it with a clip. And that will probably give me a much nicer setup here. So let's do that, because then I can do the scatter after this, and that will allow me to actually control the number of points in each of those sections, and then they'll connect evenly. So it's kind of an interesting thing. I actually screwed this up in my setup that I had there. So let's do that. Let's get that going. Okay, so instead of this, let's see here. We have here, so we clipped off the top. So let's just get rid of this scatter. We'll leave the geometry there. Now we could just leave that and just cut it like that, and that would be fine. But because you get these weird sort of like little issues here, I want to actually do a proper like clip instead of just a blast. So let's do this. Let's delete this. We'll do a clip, throw this in here, and we're going to do it in the 0, 1 direction. Ray is only directionally projection. Yeah, you could project something spherical if you're using the ray node, but you'd really need to have like your normals pointed in the direction, right? Like you'd have to have your normals point in the direction you'd want the points to be kind of rayed towards to hit a surface. So you can do spherical stuff, but it certainly isn't like automatic. You have to kind of like play around with your normals and things like that. Let's see here. So where's my clip? There it is. Okay, cool. So let's do this at 2, and we can do below the plane. There we go. And why don't I just make it so that that weird little extra bit there is not coming through. Great. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so let's do that. And so that's going to clip our geometry. I'm not going to name that yet, so maybe we'll keep that. So we'll keep this split out like that. And then let's do a clip here. Maybe we can do this. Use a clip and split this. What direction is that in? No, let's do it in that axis. And that should cut it right at 0. Great. However, let's do that. And then we can do this above and below. And instead of above and below, we could, which one's above, which one's below? Let's see. What are they considering above and below? Above is front, below is rear. Okay. So what we could do is we could just say front, rear. And so that's going to make those groups for us in the primitives. So that's kind of nice. So we can split it based on that. And then we can scatter those points based on those geometries. And this is going to be our right. So let's just do that. We'll just say right front. And we'll say here, right rear. Okay, cool. So then what we can do is we can then also take this and put this over here and just change it to say left and then left. Cool. Okay, so that should work there. And then what we can do is we can put this down and we can start to mess with this. All right. So now if we split this, instead of doing it that way, we can just say, we can split out the front and then, hello? Oh, not points, be primitives. So there we go. There's our front on this side. And then here's our rear over there. And what we could do instead of leaving it like that, we could do a scatter, and we'll see here. Now we can put a certain number of points. And this is going to force a total number, right? And so we could say, I don't know, maybe we want 100 on this side here, and maybe, here's the thing. I don't really want there to be that many that are close to it. So let's see if we can't bring this. Yeah, that's probably fine. That'll be good. Doesn't really matter that they're all even. We'll just have them like that because they're going to be random anyway. So I think that'll be fine. We don't need to push them up against. I mean, we could give it like a little, maybe. No, let's just leave it. We won't do any relaxed iterations. So we'll have 100 there. And then we can do the same thing and come over here and we'll get 100 on the rear side. And then we'll do this for all of them, right? So we can just do this same situation. So here we're going to split this and we'll just say instead of points, we'll go to primitives, reset that and go to left front. And so now we should almost be able to do this, scatter and then scatter. And I mean, I guess what we could do here too is you could just copy this parameter and just paste relative references across here, just so if you did change those, that would, you know, update across. So if you wanted more, let's just say we wanted to see what was happening here. We could just grab all of these, merge them together. Let me save this. What am I doing? I thought I saved it before I started. Dumb. I'm just going to call this ST portal. Oh, thanks, VFX dude. That's very nice. Teaching others, sharing your explorations. Yeah, no problem. Hey, that's what we're here for. I mean, I think that's just normal human behavior. Just share what you know. Or what you don't know and what you're learning in front of people. Sometimes that happens. Cool. Okay. So let's do this. Okay, cool. So these are all working. We've got those scatters. Those are doing kind of exactly what we want. Now the other thing that we want to do is we need a way to match these up, right? Because we've got this right front. We want to match that up with the left front, right? So we want those both to get matched together and have wires drawn across them. I think the easiest way to do this is to do an enumerate. Let's throw this over here. And we're going to do it by points. And oh, you know what we could actually do? Let's see here. I'm just trying to think. Actually, I was going to say maybe we could do this based on the piece attribute, but there isn't actually going to be there's no polygon here to work on. Well, I guess, no, we could put that as a point attribute. Yeah, I guess we could do that. Let's do that. Let's do a name, and we can just name these all and then run over them with one enumerate, I think. At least let's try it, see what happens. We'll say this is going to be right front, and we'll just give these some names. And then that should just give us the ability to have one enumerate that'll do all this for us. And we'll say right rear, and then, I mean, maybe this is stupid, but whatever. There always is a million ways of doing everything. So left front, and then this is left rear. Cool. Yes. We can do these all together, put them into an enumerate, and let's see if that's going to work. I think it will. Name. We're going to be using integer. Let's see. Yep. Cool. So we've got these repeating values up to 99 for each of the point numbers. And let's just take a look at these point numbers too, actually, before we go any further. I just want to see if these are they're not ordered really. Okay, cool. Yeah, they're randomized. So that's great. They're not going to be ordered. So, let's see. So what we could do here is, yeah, we probably need to do one more split, unfortunately, but that's okay. We'll just do one split just to do the front and the rear separate because we want to connect those. So let's do this. Let's do a split based on a group, and we can say, let's do this, but instead we'll just do star front star like that. And that's going to grab all of the front groups. So there's two of them, and there they are. And so now we can do an add node here, and we could say polygons, and we're going to by group, and we're going to say by attribute. And so the attribute that we want to grab is index. So that will make these randomized lines across here. Now that's actually interesting. That's way more regular than I was kind of expecting it to be. So let's go in here and let's do some more randomization. So let's do a sort in here, and let's see if we can't maybe just do it here. Let's do a point sort. Let's just do it completely random. There we go. Much better. That's a much better randomization. Now they might be intertwining and stuff like that, but that's good. So that's going to be much better. And we can have two of these. We can have one for the front, one for the rear. And yeah, that's great. And then if we, I don't think there's going to be any reason to have to worry about the front and the rear groups by themselves. Do we still have the roots? I think we should still have the roots. Yep. So if we merge these back together, and Shift R to change those. We should be able to check that we have the root. Yeah, we have all the roots, and we could just do star roots and those would all come in. So great. That is great. Looking good. All right. What I'm going to do actually real quick, I need to get a drink because I don't have a drink right now. So what I'm going to do is just take a quick break here. And actually, I don't even have, I don't have my graphic loaded for that, unfortunately. Shoot. Darn it. I never did that one. That's okay. Let's do this for right now. And I'm just going to take a quick break, go grab a drink, and I will be right back. So pardon me for leaving for a second, but I will be right back. Thanks, everybody. All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. Um, yeah. All right. Cool. That's all working. Got some water. Oh, it's invisible because I have a green screen now. I always forget about that. All right. So we are back. Sorry about that. Hey, Maitland, welcome. What are we up to? There we go. Green screen water. Yeah, it's invisible water. It's fun that way. Okay. So we've got these wires that are going to be coming across here. We do need to add some in between, sort of resolution to this. However, I think it would make sense to maybe cut it first, because then we'll resample after we cut it. I think that would be good. So let's do that. Let's do that. So we have this all set up. We need some cutting geometry. So let's do a grid. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna use the planar patch because this is a little bit more random, and I just like it to be a little bit more random when we're cutting it like this. So let's do that plane there. And we'll bring this up like so. And we can bring this out. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't need to be out that wide. What am I doing? Okay. Cool. So we're going to do this. And does this have a normal on it? No, it doesn't. So let's give it a normal just to have that. Nice point normal here. And I might make this just a little bit smaller edge length. Okay, there we go. And let's use a... One time I jumped into a swimming pool, my friend made it into blue screen water. That's cool. All right, we'll use the mountain node, which technically is not a mountain anymore. It's just an attribute noise, but that should be good. Give us some noisiness here to kind of play with. And we're noising along the normal axis, so that's good. And yeah, let's see here. What do we want? What do we want to do with our noise here? I mean, honestly, maybe just one's fine. It's kind of funny. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Pretty happy with that already. Cool. All right, so we don't really need to worry too much about that. Let's do a, well, let's see here. We want to do a, what is it? What is it? Shoot, what did I use before? I always forget this one. Yes, there is actually a Labs Boolean curve, which is really nice. So I should be able to use this and get some nice Booleaning of curves. There we go. Nice. I think we just do a shatter is all we need to do there. Yep. That should work. Cool. Yep, that seems right. Yeah, the lab stuff is great. Fun, lots of fun little tools in there. All sorts of good stuff. Don't think that we'll need that per se. Let me see here. What did I do? Okay, let's see here. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna need those. I'm just trying to think if I need to have. I don't think I will need those groups, but that's okay. All right, let's do that. That looks good. And what if I have a group here? I wonder if this will show up, because I would like those middle ones to have the seam. So let's see if we do points, seam. So that's an interesting question from Enya. They say, I'm still very new to Houdini. How much of what you do is beginner level? I wouldn't say that this stuff is beginner level. I mean, it's definitely not like advanced. I mean, this is just kind of screwing around and doing some of this type of stuff. I wouldn't say it's advanced in any way, but it's probably intermediate, beginner intermediate level stuff, somewhere in that range. It really depends on, there's some stuff in here that's definitely, there's definitely some stuff in here that I'm like doing that's going to be a little bit weird and like esoteric, because we're like splitting stuff apart and joining it back together and doing some weird stuff like that. But the actual like vellum side of it isn't really that crazy. So it kind of runs the gamut a little bit between there, and depends on what you know and what you don't know, whether this is something that feels really beginner for you or feels like it's, an intermediate thing. So, yeah, I'm not really like an advanced user of Houdini, honestly. Like I know how to do things, but my knowledge is a little bit more wide than it is deep. So yeah, exactly. So, knowing what nodes do, also just knowing how to like search and find things. I think there's lots of different things that people get kind of caught up with when they're working in Houdini. So, and sometimes sometimes I do go down a rabbit hole looking for a laser pig, and then all hell breaks loose. Yep. And then we've got people online like trying to say, well, maybe you should try this to do, and then it's like, well, that didn't really work exactly right. And yeah, then things get nuts. But that's the cool thing. Houdini kind of lets you be nuts if you want to, and we'll ride right along with you. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a group transfer, which is like an attribute transfer. Group transfer is the word I'm looking for. So we're going to do a group transfer and transfer this seam over to the middle. Turn this off, turn this off. Let's do seam, and that distance threshold should be basically 0. as close to 0 as we can. So we'll just do like, well, not as close to 0. We'll do like 0.1. And then that way, any of these points, we'll just make sure we get that nice group applied to them. So those now have the group, the seam group. Laser pig will be remembered. Oh, that's the last time I'm ever doing lasers, until there's like a built-in way to do lasers. And then I'll just be like, use this node. Here you go. All right. Forget about the other multiple streams that I've done on trying to do lasers. Like volumetric lasers. Oh, anyways. Okay, so there's our seam group. We're going to use that because that's going to be where we're going to want to stitch together, right? That's where the vellum, like those are now all broken apart, right? So we need to stitch those back together within vellum. So yeah, let me think here. Oh, yes. The other thing that we probably need to do, okay, so let's resample this. And I think if we do this, I'm going to turn the point visualizer on again here and see if we can't. Yeah, that should be pretty much what we want, because it's like making pretty even cuts on these, and that's good. Okay. Do we want to make it any smaller? I don't know. Maybe we'll make it a little smaller just to give it a couple more segments so it can hang a little bit more smoothly and do some stuff, but that should be fine. Yeah, that seems good. Okay. So now the only problem here that we're going to run into is that we have these root groups, right? But if we look at these groups have now propagated down this wire here, and that's definitely not what we want. So we need to sort of fix that, right? Because we resampled it, but the groups got goofed up. So let's see what we can do here. What is the easiest way to do this? Or is there a way to... Is there an exclude groups? Where is that? Where is that in the resample? How have I never seen this? Am I looking right at it and I'm not seeing it? Exclude groups in resample. Is that in here somewhere? Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. I don't think that would work, because if I did that, yes, I know what you're saying. So if you did this and then did like this, right? Because this would be don't do the roots, right? But I don't think that is going to work for us for a couple reasons. Like if it's looking for primitive groups. So that's part of it. And these are point groups. And oh, hi again, Leonard. Coming back in for more? Hi, bud. Buddy? Yeah, you good boy. Sorry for my goofy dog. I mean, I'm not sorry. He's great. I love him. Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is, yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just simply overwrite it, I think. Create attribute group before transfer attribute and create. Oh, no problem. Hello. Akash, I think is the name. No, you have to apologize to me. No worries. The recording is here. Yeah, Leonard wants to just be included. He just wants to be, in on the whole thing. He's such a goof. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do star root star like this. And let's do overwrite. And I think that might, yeah, that looks like that's, oh, no, it's not. Shoot. Oh, I know why, because the distance threshold is too high. So let's turn this down. So we'll just do this at like 0.1. And that, yep. That's looking right. And then, yeah, there we go. Okay, those look great. Okay, so what I did there was I just kind of made this little branch that goes around here as the reference for it. And the idea here is that I'm just going to overwrite the group here, and we're going to transfer it based on this distance. And when it's overwriting, it's basically getting rid of the original group that had all the extra points in it, and just basically copying it, transferring that over top of it, and rewriting it. So that should work just fine. So we should be all set. I'm going to turn those off. Cool. And yeah, so that's great. Yeah, there's a couple other ways there people were mentioning. There's like a group expand. You could probably do an expand it minus a couple times. That could work. You could do a group by range probably and have some success there with some different stuff. The only reason I did it this way was because I kind of knew that the group already existed with those specific points and in that specific area. And so I just felt like, yeah, I can just have it kind of copy it around like this. So it's just kind of like a little like branch out and around and down to get that down there. So yeah, so that's the idea. And I think that's pretty good. We've got our roots, we've got our seam. That all seems pretty good. Let's do a null here again. Yeah, you're welcome. No, I appreciate everybody's making their suggestions. Yeah, it's really good to always get more stuff. People throwing ideas out there. I love it. That's great. All right, let's say out slime wires. I don't know, something like that. All right, before we go any further into making this geometry and stuff like that, which is funny, these are all like, okay, there's our arch. Let's turn off those points. Our arch, we've got our wires. Yeah, maybe there should be some more across the top here. We could change that though. Let's see here. Where did I do that? I cut that here. So all I should need to do, let's ghost this. Let's turn off the sheet. Let's do that. Let's ghost the other object. Yeah, that does actually seem too low. So let's take this, and we could just adjust this here, make a few more up at the top. I mean, it's a little weird, but yeah, that's cool. Feels a little more full now. Although down at the bottom here is funky. Maybe we scatter a couple more here just to be nice. Something like that. Sure. Well, these are all going to hang down anyways, so I guess really the bottom is not a problem. So those will all sag down. So let's just leave it. Okay. We got our wires. Great. We haven't done this sheet yet, but let's just do this like so. And then let's do a geo here, and we'll just call this sim vellum, I guess. I don't know. We'll just call that. Okay. So let's now do a couple object merges here. And the way I did this before, like I said, was just monolithic and silly. So I'm going to do this a little bit more intelligent, hopefully. So let's do this. And where are our slime wires here? Cool. Okay, so we've got those. Let's also get the door geometry. So arch geo, and we'll say get. Okay. Now, the only thing that you will probably run into here is that you might have to jump back and forth between some different networks, but I think this is a little bit cleaner way of working versus like having this super long network all in one object. I think that's maybe a little too much. Anyways, let's do a vellum. No, what is it? Configure hair. We'll do a configure hair. That should be fine. There is one that is a string. Yeah, actually, that might be fine in this case. Is that part of this? No. Okay. Anyways, let's just change it over to string. That should be fine. So we can pin the points, which should be fine, I'm thinking. Yes, I think that should be fine way of doing it. So what we can do is we can just say star roots star, just to make sure we've got that all set. Yep, and actually just star roots would have been fine, but anyways, here we are. Okay, and what you'll see is that we have these little pins on the roots of all of these wires, so that's looking good. All right, let's do a vellum solver here. Throw that down. Let's do a ground position. I am also going to adjust this a little bit. Just up the memory. Please be careful with that, depending on how much RAM you have in your computer. All right, let's just see how this is working right now. They should fall apart, break into pieces. My kernel is compiling. Give us a second here. Yep, there we go. We've got the wires falling and breaking. Cool. That seems to be working just fine. I'm also going to hide other objects. There we go. Great. So now we have all different size wires and things like that. Cool. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, let's put this in. We can just put it in there. There's our collision geometry. And now if we hit play, we should see that it's going to fall and hit this. You'll see it's going to kind of like hit different parts of this geometry here. Yeah. So that's all working and doing its thing. Nice. Let me go back here and just... Stentron says, how is there no industry standard color for null/object merge, etc.? There's just not. I always do for like inside of my networks, I always do things coming in like object merges and stuff like that as red, and then stuff going out as green, and then any in between stuff that I want to do as yellow. So that's just me, but yeah, everybody does it differently. I don't know. It's just life, you know. We're a multitude of, you know, we're a spectrum of humans, so we've got to have a spectrum of colors to use. Yeah, and yeah, that's exactly right. This is we're just trying to make something that's like Stranger Things-ish, you know, something like that. Yeah, for sure. That's definitely the idea here. Okay, so we've got our vellum hair. So my guess is probably tonight this will be as far as we'll get, is like getting the hair set up and getting the like sheet maybe set up. And then next week we'll work on like the breaking and putting it back together, because obviously we had to build everything and get it going and stuff like that. So, you know, that's my guess as to where we'll get tonight, because right now it's like, for me, it's like 7:20. So, and I usually go for another about 40 minutes or so. So, in the C box. Oh, yes. You can right click on them and edit and remove and save as defaults, reset to defaults, all sorts of stuff here. So right clicking does a lot of things for you there. So yeah. So there you go, Maitland. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how to do that. All right, so let's do this. I am going to use, there's a couple different ways that you could go about doing this. Oh, it's okay. No. It doesn't feel like something you'd right click on, so I don't think it's a derpy thing at all. So we're actually going to join this in two different ways. One way is I want to have these seams welded, because that should be a nice way of getting this to, like, it basically, like, in the post-processing, you can actually like join those welds across and they won't even be like separate geometry anymore. And so like a vellum post-process node will actually do that for you. So I want to have that weld. However, A weld is a binary operation. It's either welded or it's not. So you can't blend into a weld, really, or at least that I could figure out how to do. Oh, there you go. See, look, Maitland, you helped other people too. That's always what happens because you ask a question, and like for me, I just learned about the shift enter that puts the node down. So I mean, hey, hopefully that's something that came after Houdini 16. So I'm not just a dummy and never learned that. And it was just something I missed along the way of my Houdini journey. Anyways, so what we can do is we can do a weld, a vellum weld points. I'm helping. Aren't we all? I think we're all helping. That's the thing here. Okay, so what we can do is we can weld points. We could go from our points here and we could say seam, right? So now we're going to have our seam points welded, right? So those are all going to be welded as such. And if we look at this, there's a couple things that we can see here. Now, there is a bend stiffness, which is great. That's super helpful. In fact, we might even mess with this a little bit more. Maybe play with this stiffness as well. Turn that down a little bit. Maybe we'll turn that down to 1,000,000, which seems like it's still insanely high, but let's try that and see where that gets us. But so what you see here is we have a bend constraint, right? So we're bending across these wires. However, we don't have a stretch capability, right? We only have the ability to bend. So that is kind of why it's either on or off binary. And so if we look at this vellum stitch here and take a look at the weld, this actually adds a weld geometry attribute. This is to the actual geometry, not to the constraints. So if we look here, we can see it'll actually give the point number that it is welded to. So we'll have to go way down here. Let's see. Let's just sort that. We can come down to the bottom here. So you can see that 4482 is welded to 2126, for example. So this is how the welding works. It's either a number or it's -1, meaning it's not welded. So it's pretty easy to tweak that. However, we can't like blend nicely into that, unfortunately. So I kind of found a way. There we go. Houdini 18 plus. Wonderful. So that means that I actually wasn't even getting updates at my studio at that point because we couldn't afford paying for the updated version. So I was still on 16.5 until like, I think 18.5 or 19 came out. So that makes me feel a lot better. I just missed it. So I'm going to tell myself that and we're just going to move on. With my new setup, it's really nice because I can actually hear if I'm muted or not now. So I hopefully will very rarely have the case where I'm talking and no one can hear me. So that's a nice new feature for me personally. You should notice nothing different, but for me, it's very nice. Anyways, okay, so the combination that I found that really worked well here was doing a weld and a glue in conjunction. But let's just do the weld, make sure that's working. Then we'll do the glue, make sure that's working and not causing any issues. So let's hit play here. And there we go. We got our welds, which is wonderful. And so what we can do here, just to see this work, we can do a, let's see. I'm going to do a, excuse me, my throat just made a weird sound. Sorry about that. Oh, that's horrible. Let's do a pop wrangle in here. And really all I need to do is for the, I do licenses, but no computer. Oh man, that's even worse. Wow. That's sad. That's a sad one. Okay. So I'm just going to operate on the seam group. And what I'm going to say is, I'm just going to animate the activation of this, I think. So we're going to say, what warning is this giving me? Why would that be an invalid group? What? Sorry. So if you're ever looking in here, you can go to geometry and we can see our attributes. There is seam. Why would that not be a valid? That is insane. That is certainly a valid group. It's right here. Okay. Well, I guess I don't have to do that, but anyways, let's just say I at weld equals -1. And this will just be a line here that's just going to get written out. Now, is this going to, no, this is not running there yet. Now it is. Okay, perfect. So this is -1, so that's great. So what we could do is we could just deactivate this down here. I just hit the little brain icon. Sorry, I think that's actually covered up by my lower third there, but we're going to go to frame 48. How did I increase that? Control plus and minus. How about that? Can anybody read that? Okay. Anyways, sorry, I'm just playing now. Yeah, it's really nice for like when you're doing this kind of stuff, when people are like, what does that say? And you can like make it bigger. It's very nice. Okay, so that's working. Let's just change our activation. I'm going to go to 48, set the activation to 1 there, go back a frame and go to 0. Yeah, that little thing there is definitely, oh yeah, Joy of X. Yes. That little tool is something that when you're doing a lot of like presentations and workshops and things like that, that's like key, you know, especially if you've got any Vex that you're doing. Although you shouldn't really ever be like typing Vex in a workshop anymore. I did that once and it was a big mistake. It was a major mistake. That's the last time I'll ever do that. Now I just hand out the code and be like, if you want to learn how to code, go for it. What is happening here? Okay, let's see what's going on here. There we go. Okay, and then blunk, they all break. Great. So that's working. It's going just fine. So there we go. We've got all of the wires doing their thing. Oh, you know what? There's some weird stuff going on here. What is going on there? Let me just cut this for a second and see if it's still doing that. No, it's not. Okay. So there is a collision issue there happening. Yeah, I think I could turn off collision for the roots and that might help. I'll have to think about that. But for right now, it's working. We've got our seam happening here, right? And so that's great. And now here's the weird part. If we reverse that, so let's go over here. And actually, I'm just going to shift click this to bring up the UI here for the animation. And let's just do one here. It's Alt. There we go. And then we'll go here and do another one and just say that is, this is 0. And this is 121. Okay, cool. So let's do that and we can just see what's going to happen here. I'm sure you can imagine what's going to happen. It's going to just snap and do all sorts of crazy stuff. So it breaks and does its thing. And then at 120, it's going to go, hello? Oh, right. That's not going to work because I can't just do that. That won't work. I need to do, what do I need to do? I just need to make another one of these, I guess. Oh, right. So this is part of the issue that I realized was that you can remove a weld quite easily, but it's a little trickier to put the weld back because you have to re-weld it to the right point. So you need to have a rest weld attribute that you've kind of made for yourself. So what we're going to do there is we can do an attribute swap, which is a really nice node that I've used more recently. And so what we can do is this is like a way to make a rest attribute out of like anything else, right? So we can just do a copy. We can say the source is going to be our weld, and then our destination can be our rest weld. And so now we have a weld and a rest weld. And the reason that that is really helpful is that rest weld doesn't do anything in a solver. So we can do all of our stuff on weld and then just copy that attribute back over if we need it. So this is going to be, say, initialize rest weld. Cool. Let's go inside of this, and this will be, we'll just say equals rest weld. And this needs to have a different activation. let's see. So I think if we, where's my animation? Here it is. If we do this and let's see here, I will just activate this down there somewhere. It doesn't need to actually even turn off. That's fine. So cool. That's great. So this will turn on, deactivate, so it won't be doing anything anymore. And then the other one will activate. That should make it work. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if that does it. I mean, this is just proving my point, basically. So this doesn't really do anything for us per se. There we go. So you see it just snaps right back, which really isn't what we want. We really don't want that. So, so it's kind of just nasty little setup there. So we do that, and then it just goes blunk and snaps back to, together, which is fine. It's, something of what we want. So let's take this maybe a step further, and let's actually add in our like maybe a mops attribute to control when these are breaking. So let's do that. Let's do a mops shape fall off, just because this is a nice, oh yeah, that's right. There's a weird little error there. I think that's in my default mops, and I need to update that. And I was trying to, I went to update mops plus, and I just wasn't thinking. Anyways, mops fall off, shape fall off. So we've got our shape there. Let's do this. Also, let's reset our viewport because we're seeing that geometry and that's goofy. Okay, so we've got this fall off going here, and that is already working. But I just want to set this to be the seam group. An error in mops, yeah. Impossible, not possible. Why is that? Sorry. Oh, the seam got like gigantic. Shoot. Okay, I have to go back and fix that too, apparently. I should probably do this. Let's do that. I think that's right. Let me just see. Let me see here. Just want to make sure I'm not adding any that aren't. Oh, it's really hard to see. Sorry. No, that's too far. Let's just do 0.25. Oh, what is mops used for? Mops is kind of like a motion graphics based idea. It started out that way at least. And now it's just super useful for a whole bunch of different things. But it kind of operates on points, like packed geometry or points in your scene. And you can do all sorts of different, like, it kind of takes some of the Cinema 4D motion graphics tools and kind of makes versions of it in Houdini. So it's really nice from that standpoint. Now here is the problem. Wait a second. Why did I just got to think about this. Right. Okay. So I need to do this and then take this from up here. So if I resample it, then group transfer, we're gonna do that, maybe. How many points should this be? It's really annoying. Why? Sorry. I'm like a little annoyed right now. I'm just trying to see that this is actually working. It's really hard to tell that I'm getting all of them. I think so. But it seems like a weird number of points. All of these seems like a weird number of points. And like, I just don't understand why at like point 1 it should be giving me, like it should just be giving me all of them. Well, let's see. Hopefully this is right. Anyways, all right, so we've got our transfers there. All the routes are over. Okay. All right, let's just say that that's good for now. We can always figure out other things to do. Okay, that looks right, right? Hopefully. Okay, so here's our weld with our seam. Let's just make sure that these are all still holding. And they're not. Why? Okay. Gonna have to think about this. Oh, I think I know why. Because it's not cutting at points. It's cutting at it's cutting where, excuse me. It's cutting where primitives are going across it. And so that's why we're getting this goofy situation here. Because it's not cutting at individual points, it's cutting in between points. And so it's trying to copy this point attribute over. All right, let me see here. Okay, I have an idea. Maybe I can do this. Okay. Don't know why this is acting so much different than it did before, but that's okay. So I have all these points here. So what if I do another enumerate and just call this something different, like group index. Throw this in here. This will give me an index for all of these numbers. So these are all have their own group index number. And then when I resample it, what is it going to do with that? Oh, that's on primitives, so I need to do it on points. It's going to sample that. What do I want? Interesting. Huh. So maybe I do need to do the group thing differently. All right. So let's try one of those other options because that sort of worked, but it didn't. So because the seam information is wrong. Let's see, we'll do group by range. That's probably the easiest way to do this. So, oh, I deleted the wrong thing. deleted the resample. Let's get rid of this enumerate. Don't need that. Let's do a group by range. Okay. So let's see here. Can we do -1? Oh, yeah. I gotta do it based on separate disconnected geometry. Okay. So, it's gonna be weird. Now I gotta go back and see what everybody suggested. What did everybody say? Group expand and minus. Huh. Yeah. I gotta think about this one. It's a weird issue. Why is this being so annoying? I'm glad there's music right now so I can just sit and think for a second. Okay. I think what I'm going to do because like these are all the start and end points now. So let's do this. Let's call this ends. And then what we could actually do is yeah. Yeah, group expand and minus could work if the resample the lines the same way, but if not, then it won't be exact. Yeah. And that's what I'm seeing here is that there's different lengths on them. So like if we look at this here and try to do, let's see the left. We'll just turn all these on. So like there, like I don't think those all have the same number of points. In fact, I can see that they don't. Like here, this one has 2, this one has 3, you know, there's all different numbers and values. So yeah, unfortunately that won't work, which is annoying. I wish it would work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some combinational stuff here. So let's do a group. Let's do a group combine. Oops. Let's do a group combine. And I think what we can do is we can start with the ends. Or no, let's call this one roots equals the ends intersected with, and we'll just say star roots. that work? That's weird that those aren't showing. It does look like it worked. Okay. So I think this is going to be our answer, is doing this. It's like, it's sort of a combination of multiple things. Like the roots got extrapolated, but because we could call the ends out, now that does include all of them, but now we have all of these roots, and that should work. So that's good. And those just need to pin, so they can just be called roots. They don't need to be anything fancy. And so this, now what I can do is I can say, not that, maybe I'll do 0.1 with that. No, that's too far. Let's do this. Looks like that is not. Group all first and use labs Boolean curve with the plane. And then create a group from inverse group all. I am using the Boolean curve. I don't think this actually I don't know what this even outputs. Let's see. Yeah, there's not really any groups there. And it's not like copying any groups over. So I was hoping that it would do that. Yeah, the labs Boolean adds new points. Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that actually does make sense. Yes. Yep. Gotcha. That's a very good. It's a very good. We'll say original points. We'll just call it points. And then this after this Boolean, like you said. That should have everything in it. Right, yep, original points. Then if we come over here, we should have all the new stuff not be in that. And then if we can actually do, we can use this group combine to do a couple things for us here. Oh yeah, actually, would that even work? Let's see, original points. Let's see. Would that original points be everything except for that? No, it wouldn't be. That's okay though. So yeah, we have this, and then yeah, so we can just do this same another group combine here. So I'll try to talk through this. So the group name that I want to create is going to be called I'll call this original seam, and this equals all but the original points. So this is going to be basically saying this original seam is everything that isn't in original points. So there we go. Is there a group invert? There's a group invert. Look at that. That's cool. So we could also do that. So we could just say original points, new name is original seam. So that's gonna be the same difference. So either one of those will work. That's maybe a little easier to understand. And then this gets resampled. Unfortunately, that freaks it all out because if we go in here and now we have original seam and it's this whole area. But when we come down here to this new group combine, what we can do is we can do another combine and say seam equals ends and then intersection. So like wherever the ends group intersects with the original seam, that's going to be our new seam, basically. And let's do a group delete here because we've got a lot of groups, so we don't need them all. So let's get rid of original points, original seam. We probably don't even need ends. Yeah, let's just get rid of these all. We don't need them right now. They're all just kind of taking up space. And let's see what our groups look like here. So we should have roots and seam. And that is hard to see, so let's do a green there, and hopefully you can see that a little bit better. Or maybe, I don't know, do a pink there. I don't know, doesn't really matter. Okay, there you go. So the green's in the middle there, and that's our seam. And that should work. And do we have yes, we have 400. That's exactly what it should be, not some random number. Anyways, okay, so we can get rid of these group transfers because they're just not needed anymore. Group transfer, this, get rid of it. Great, there we go. We've now done all the grouping. So now we have a group combine here that's made. Hopefully that made a little bit more sense with the group combine, if I talked through it a little bit better. All right, so let's go over to our simulation here. Let's turn off these seam and roots. Great. And I think we're going to be back to where we should be with this. And let's have this fall down. Yep, all the things are, yeah, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so now what I'm going to do instead of that is let's come in here and we'll say, this is always the hard thing. Do we want broken to be 1 or broken to be 0? Let's do broken to be... Let's flip this. So we'll say 1 is together and broken is 0. And that's also should work with the strength when we're doing the strength of our glue bond. All right, so let's do this. We'll select the translate here. Actually, I'm going to shift click, bring it way down here to let it set a little bit. And then let's have this break down to here, 144. We'll bring this down like so. Do another keyframe. And now we've got this attribute that's adjusting across, which is great. Everything's working nicely there. Let's go inside of the vellum solver and we can get rid of these because these are not really going to do what we need it to. So that's fine. Let's do a mops. Let's do a fetch attribute. Now this is a plus thing. This is a paid thing, but you could do this with any, type of attribute or whatever, or with any type of like attribute wrangle or things like that. It's not really, this isn't a necessity per se. Now the other thing I'm going to do here is I am going to make a null and wire this off to the side here. And we're just going to say, we'll call this weld break. How about that? And there we go. So we'll use that weld break as the source here. So we're going to change this to, oh, interesting. No, this probably won't actually work because the DOP.NET it's different. So anyways, we're like a couple level deep. So it'd be the first context geometry of the DOP.NET. And I don't actually think that would maybe work. Maybe it would work. I don't know, actually. Maybe it would. Hold on. Let's just see. Does mops fall off come in? All right, let's come back up here. Let's check. I'm just going to search mops fall off. Okay, it is there. Let's see. Do the values change at any point here? Let's see. Yeah, they are. Okay, cool. Great. So that is actually going to work. So you could have an attribute here, but it is coming in. So that's nice. So I guess we don't really have to worry about that. So we don't even need to put this on its own little branch. It's using the first context geometry. So that's actually really nice. And this is initializing it to the geometry, which is important. We need this attribute to go onto the geometry. My newbie eyes are glazed over. Yeah, this starts getting into some fancier DOP stuff, but this makes it really easy because this mops attribute thing will pretty much do what we need it to. So what I'm going to do there is fetch the attribute. So we're going to use that. And then we can just use a pop, not a poop, pop wrangle. And let's use this with, I think myself is what we want. And so what we need to do is we need to, well, we can just activate this on the one seam group. Can you distort, an off-topic question, can you distort Material X noise? I would guess that you would distort it by using some other attribute on the geometry to like drive the, I think you would maybe drive like the seed value basically for the noise, and you could distort it that way. I think that would be a way you could do it. So like maybe doing something to like mess with the, like messing with the, like the UV space or something like that. Like that might work. I'm not sure. I haven't really used the Material X like noise stuff like that. I would probably just do it in cops now. So yeah, I don't really know. It's giving me the invalid group again. That's so goofy. Anyways. So let's do this. Let's say, if, and we'll say if we'll say at mops fall off is, we'll say less than 0.5. We're going to do something, and then else we're going to do something else. So if mops fall off is less than 0.5, we're going to, so like right now it should be at 1 for all of these. Like if we come over here and look, there should be a mops fall off here. Where is it? Here. They should be at 1. So we want to leave the pin number as it is, but when it goes below 0.5, we're going to say I at weld is equal to -1. So that's going to be what we do first. And then otherwise, we're going to do the same thing we did before. So this is kind of like rebuilding the thing we did before, but just a little fancier. So we're going to say I at rest weld, like so. And that should give us what we need, because we should have that rest weld attribute. Yep. Okay. So let's try this. So this should now animate, hopefully. That's my hope. So it should break as we go down. Fingers crossed. Yeah, there we go. So it breaks as we go down, and then the weld should rebuild as we go back up. Oh, I didn't animate it back up. I only animated it down. I also am going to turn, well, no, we'll leave this on for right now. So let's do this. So we have it a little longer like that, and turn this off. And then, yeah, let's do this up to 480. I noticed that it was like, don't laugh at me, Fractaler. That's not nice. I'm trying my hardest. All right. So I have a busy day tomorrow. I'm going to New York City. Got a presentation to do in New York, so I've got to go. Let's see here. Whoop, sorry. Okay, let's do it like so, and we can just all right, let's just change that to linear. That's fine. All right, I'm gonna turn the simulation back on, and let's see what happens. Should be good. Hey, I thought I turned off. Oh no, I didn't. Turn that off. There we go. Blunk, 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 blunk. Cool. Okay, they all break. They all break. Do their thing. Then we should have it sit for a second. Maybe we'll let them rest a little. And then as they come back up, they should start recombining. It's very chaotic because they're trying to snap together. So it's very weird. And they get really twisty. But, I mean, it's technically working. So it's kind of cool. Maybe this will be a good spot to kind of leave it for tonight, where we're starting to get this sort of working and giving you a little taste of what we're going to come up with, because this isn't what I want the final thing to be. But certainly is like interesting. Yeah. So what we're going to do in the now I want noodles. What we're going to do in the final version is we are going to have them, we're going to have a glue constraint in there as well. So we're going to basically kind of throughout this fall off area, we're going to have it unweld, and then we're going to let the strength of the glue slowly go down. And so then you can have it where your, where it'll like separate and then kind of like come apart. You know what I mean? Like almost like it'll start to like just kind of like stretch itself apart. Now you could do it different ways, right? You could have the release be really fast. You could have the rejoining be really slow. I mean, honestly, you probably won't really, like, if the break was that fast, you probably wouldn't see the separation per se, but it's the rebuilding that really, really benefits from the slow kind of reattachment. And so that'll be something kind of cool to hopefully play around with there. But yeah, so we're getting somewhere here. Let me do this actually, and we can just, I'm going to use this for my little thumbnail or whatever. But yeah, so that is, I think, where we're going to end it for this evening. Did a lot of stuff, did a lot of different random things, and fixed some stuff. And obviously that's not colliding right now, but we can play with that and fix that later. But yeah, it's like already kind of interesting. I think it's already a neat little, trick, but I think the full kind of extent of it, I think, will be a lot more interesting in the end. So yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that there's not a way to like slowly weld it back together. But yeah, it's, I think with the two constraints combined with a glue constraint that'll be between these as well, that'll really, you kind of get the full control that way. And then the welding, once you've actually welded it back together, that will help with when you're getting to the actual finished geometry, because it should then properly basically link those together into one geometry instead of them being two broken distinct pieces once you run the post process on it. So it's kind of an interesting thing. Like, it actually will get rid of like I can actually do it right now, just show you. Post process here. I like how snappy it is. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool, but I think if you think about what like Stranger Things would be, they kind of like all grow back together and do weird stuff. So yeah, if you had this as like I want it to be snappy, yeah, sure. But yeah, up here there's this apply welds. So when you look at it like as the default and you look at the geometry here, you'll see that it'll actually take out, hopefully you can read that or see it a little bit. It'll take out a few hundred points because it's welding them all together. Probably 200 points, right? Exactly, right? 7, 24, 92. Yeah, exactly. Because it's half of the number, so it's welding them together to 1 point. So that number will actually change as we go through. So once these break, you'll actually have more points. So it'll go up to 924. And then as they start to link back together, you'll be good. Could a time remapper be created? That is an interesting point. Could you do a time remapper? Yes, you could. Oh, to sim it in reverse. Sure. Yeah, you could. But reverse is always going to look like think about the difference here, right? Like the way that this breaks is really different to how this comes back together, right? And so it just has a certain feel. Like you can almost always tell when something's been reversed, in my mind, to me at least, because it has the exact same motion. And so like we kind of are really good at picking out patterns, humans. And so I think when we see it, we're like, oh, that's the same pattern that it fell down with and it's coming back together. So, I mean, you can do that and it would be doable. There's definitely like, there's some negatives to it as well. So yeah, you could do that, but I like to make it in the real sim. So I'm just I like to go the hard route usually because I'm weird, but yeah, anyways, so I think that's where we'll leave it. I see Enya. Yeah, you joined on the Discord server. Awesome. Very nice to have you there. And yeah, if anybody else wants to join the Discord server as well, we have a Discord server. And so you can come check that out. You can go to HoudiniHangout.com. There's a link there to the actual server. There's an invite to the server, I should say. And you can join up that way. And yeah, there's always a lot of interesting conversations in there. A lot of it happens when I'm asleep. So I wake up and people have had conversations back and forth. And but it's always some interesting conversations over there. And but yeah, so let's just say that should end it for this evening. Thank you all so much for joining and for chatting. And it's nice to have new faces around, and that's really exciting. Hopefully you'll all pick something out from this. And next week we'll get into the rest of it, getting into some the sheet kind of separating and pinning that and figuring that out, messing with some of the collisions here. And we'll see how far we get with it. I think I even want to try to do some rendering with this just to see if we can get some of the I don't know, weird kind of gross slimy stuff rendered, maybe some transparency stuff or whatever. So anyways, yeah, that's it for this evening. Thank you for the safe travels thoughts. And yeah, I'll be doing a cool presentation tomorrow in New York. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's always fun to chat with students. And yeah, we'll be back at this next week as long as the snow doesn't, continue to pile on my house to infinity. So, so yeah, that's all for tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining and for chatting. And yeah, I'll see you all next week. Looking forward to doing some more of this. So have a good one. See you then.